In this episode of the Performance Podcast series, we really thought it was time to take a step back and put a bow around a number of principles, guests, ideas, blogs, LinkedIn posts we had about the power of the really incredible principles that are impacting workflow learning today. So in this episode, we're going to try to put a bow around all that and bring them all together. We'd love to hear what you think. Give a listen. Hey, friends, welcome back to another episode of the Performance Matters podcast series. Bob Mosher here. I'm very excited about this particular episode because it really is a merger of a number of trends, posts, dialogues, principles we've been talking about in the 5 moments of need, performance support, workflow learning for quite a while. And so we want to take a step back and talk through a couple of very powerful principles. And love to get your reaction. By all means, in the comments, let us know, what you think and how this is sitting. We've been thinking a lot lately about how L&D has evolving, or at least candidly, it should be evolving. You know that I've been at this for 43 years. You know that from past episodes. Dr. Goffredson's over 50, and we all started out with the training first mindset. We were trainers. We were in, I don't even call it learning and development when I first got into this, friends. We were the training department. And from there, we've worked very hard for decades to move us towards a performance first mentality. But now, friends, with AI, with what we can do with the power of workflow learning, the word workflow, we're getting pushed pretty aggressively into what we would now argue is actually a productivity first mindset. Training, performance, productivity first. And honestly, AI is accelerating that shift, whether honestly we're ready for it or not. So, let's be honest. Our DNA is that we're built to deliver training, courses, content, programs. That has been our world. It's who we've been known for. It's also how we've presented ourselves. It's not so much that we get nervous about the I want 5 days of training thing. I know we get frustrated with it, but honestly, friends, in many ways, that's of our own doing. It is who we have known for. But at some point, we all start asking if training people is enough. Why aren't they performing? And we're not the only ones asking it. People coming in our offices are. So we shift to performance. We started focusing on what people actually need to do, where they're struggling, the 5 moments of need, apply, change, and solve, where we can support them best at those moments. And that was a huge step forward for many of us. And honestly, I think a lot of L&Ds, many listening, may argue that we still kind of lag there. We've brought in performance. We've brought in workflow learning. We make a job aid or two. But the reality is we are still a training first when it comes to design and how we're known and what we do. So now there seems to be something else, friends. Even performance isn't enough. Just talking performance is enough, because if someone can perform, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are productive, right? I can do things and perform by what I'm asked to be called to do, but productivity is measured on a whole different level. Performance says I can do the job, right? I can do job role competencies. Do we dare go there? But productivity says I can do it efficiently. I can do it consistently. I can do it under pressure. In the real world that we're living in today, that is productivity. I can do it to ROI, to KPIs, to performance measures that are measurable and show that I am advancing the business. That is different than performance. And a lot are arguing in the world of AI, as roles are changing, are workers going to move beyond what they're asked to perform to do and become more productive when tasks are automated, when things they used to do routinely and maybe a large chunk of their job that they used to do routinely, they aren't called to do anymore? Do they go back to a 20% employee? Do they perform at 20%, or do they become productive in the other 80 by doing some very different things? So this is where AI comes in, you guys. AI lives in the workflow, not in a classroom, not in a course. Now, it might help us make classes. It might help us design courses. It may even, of course, deliver courses. But AI in our world, performance matters, performance support, 5 moments of need, it lives in the work. And that's why this moment feels, I think, a little tense, friends, to L&D. I think this is why it's got our the hair in the back of our neck standing up. Because if we stay focused on training, if we're known for training, if we're still the training department, call yourself L&D or not, AI will absolutely, and it already is, start replacing parts of what we do and large parts of what we do. So if we shift to productivity, though, if we're seen as business partners, if we're seen as helping with this AI to human engagement balance, transfer toward productivity, we are seen very differently. If we shift to that, AI becomes one of the most powerful tools, I would argue, we've ever had in L&D. The most powerful tool we've ever had in L&D. So we have to reframe AI. We have to start seeing it as an opportunity, not a threat. I hear a lot of nervousness around it. Is AI going to take our jobs? I think honestly, the answer is it might take our old jobs, honestly, right? If our value is building courses, pushing content, delivering training, guys, even if we can do it quicker, faster, maybe even better with AI, we are absolutely vulnerable, absolutely vulnerable. But if our value becomes enabling performance, with that driving productivity, designing AI and support in the workflow for the moments of apply, solve, change, and new and more, which is training in the flow of work. Now AI doesn't replace us, amplifies what we do. It accelerates what we do. It enhances what we do. So let's start with some fundamental building blocks here, guys. First off, another thing that's gotten a lot of very interesting reviews on LinkedIn, to be honest, and other places that I've posted and others, is this whole SME to BME reality check here. Now, let's define some terms, right? Subject matter expert, SME, we know those. BME might be a new one to you, and we apologize. We needed point counterpoint here. To us, a business matter expert are the people that still live in the business. SMEs, we've leaned on them forever. But a lot of SMEs, honestly, friends, don't actually do the work anymore. They've been promoted out of it. They're managers of it. They oversee it. They maybe still be in it, but they're so advanced in it as an SME that they give us the ideal world, not the real world. How's that? Productivity doesn't live in the ideal, right? It lives in the rapid change and exceptions and workarounds and the real pressure that a BME, again, just to use a term so we can distinguish your friends, what a business matter expert lives in every single day. So we need business matter experts, the people who are still doing the work, because that's where the truth is. When we do RWAs, rapid workflow analysis, when we use the enable methodology, it's all about doing, and we need the lens first and foremost of the doers. And by all means, the SMEs are absolutely still in the mix. I get yelled at for this in a recent post, and I was not dismissing SMEs, friends. I am trying to help us align them from a different viewpoint of productivity, performance, and still some training, but in that order. And BME does that. So let's, pull this all together and talk about, design, productivity first, right? AI in the workflow, productivity, not performance, AI in the workflow, how powerful it is there, how we have to be there with it, designing, guiding, enabling it, and then this SME versus BME thing. So the first question obviously is, what do we do differently? Then what do we actually do differently? How are we seen differently? This is where I think the methodology like Enable, you've heard me talk about this before. You're welcome to follow up if you want a white paper on that. ENABLE, which is Dr. Gottfredson's 50 plus years of work, and it is ADDIE, do I dare say 2.0? Right? It's the enablement. It's the next generation of ADDIE. ADDIE's in there. But guys, ADDIE was developed decades ago for a very different time, very different technology, very different worker and performer, right? So in Enable, we got some powerful letters, like we had in other things. EN is engaged to align. Better, earlier, different. Right? I know we've done A in ADDIE, but that was after someone walked in and said, I want 5 days of training. I want an e-learning. I need a virtual classroom on sales, leadership. Friends, that was casting too big of a net. And honestly, the analysis was not really aligning with the business. We might ask some questions about that, but we got right down to the deliverable. We did. We were designing for that 5 days of something or the course that someone asked us of. We got better at how we engage the business. We've gotten way better, not just like taking requests, but truly aligning around what performance looks like, what productivity, where is it breaking down? What does success, KPIs, measures actually mean? This is way ahead of a deliverable, because we don't know the 5 moments of need solution, the performance first solution to design, until we absolutely have mapped down to the task, down to the supporting knowledge, the workflows, what the work looks like. This isn't about scoping training. It's about understanding the work and then scoping a deliverable. So rapid workflow analysis, right? This is my favorite. Well, there's a bunch of things about the methodology that I really have been drawn to as a designer and feel have changed my value to those I serve. But this is it, because we make the work visible. I can't tell you how many times through rapid workflow analysis I've talked to line of business folks through our work, and they're like, this is the first time I've ever seen the work. I've had job roles, I've had competencies, I've had all those kinds of things, but this is the first time that I really know, as a worker or a manager, what the workflow, what the tasks, supporting knowledge, resources, processes looks like. Not what we hope it is, not what the sales process is that's in the CRM, or how we want leaders to lead. We know leading in the work. We know sales in the work, right? And that's where rapid workflow analysis shines. We bring together the SME and, again, the BME to map the true work, the workflow. Those two people, if I dare say, almost BME first. Remember, they're the ones doing the work. SME complementary, do the work. Not the ideal, the real. I love that. Not the ideal, which is more, in our terms, SME. The real, which is BME, with obviously the balance of what an SME does. So, you surface where people struggle. You'll find out where errors happen, decisions get messy, time is lost. Workflows are not clean. They're super messy. When you make the work visible, visible to the business, it's huge. They love this. They see us very different before we've built anything, because organizations don't actually see how the work is done. They just don't. I've been doing this for 20 years. Dr. Gottfredson for twice, 3 times that. And every single time it's amazing. And it's going to get messier, friends. AI is going to make it messier about what is the role of the worker. What is the workflow dynamic when AI is in there automating, accelerating things, and the worker is still tasked to do things, but more importantly, allowed to do other things. So once we understand the workflow, we can accelerate that build through AI. This is, in the middle of enable is ABLE, which is the, build things, leverage it, keep it current, all these kinds of things. This is where it helps. We're not going to be guessing anymore. We're not going to be overbuilding content. We can target real needs, and you can structure unstructured content. That's what RWAs do. That's what AI can help us with, because there's a lot of unstructured content, and AI is showing that. It feeds on structured content, but not just like a content type. All the content we merge together to represent the workflow, support the workflow. We can capture tribal knowledge, right? People leaving, even surface things that organizations didn't realize were critical. I can tell you many RWAs where controversy erupts. We're supposed to do it one way, but the reality is we should do it another. Till we got in this room, we didn't even realize things that were being done or not getting done. That's all part of the world we live in with design. So sometimes you discover the work while you're supporting the work, right? When they're in there. It's really, really just super powerful. So design for productivity. Instead of building the courses, you build a system. You build a digital coach. Ecosystem, right? We've thrown it around a lot. That's where we're going, friends, is building more of an ecosystem. We're embedding digital coaches in the work, supporting decisions made in real time, understanding decisions made in real time, understanding changes in real time, guiding people through super complex environments now that are changing daily, hourly, right? How did we ever keep up with that in a training first mentality? We didn't. We never did. But this world we live in now, friends, is showing us how much more accelerated all that is. And AI is not in the background pushing things. It's out in the front pulling organizations, challenging workflows, challenging tasks that people do every day, and asking how to do them better. Can it do them instead? What then does the knowledge worker, I used to love that word, productivity worker, do with more time? Think about that. Workers are going to have a lot more time because of things being automated. So do they sit there for half a day? No. They can do more powerful things, be more productive, be more billable, all these crazy things. But okay, so training, it still matters a lot, you guys. But here's the key thing. It's way more targeted. We call it targeted training. We overteach. We overteach because we used to teach on everything. We didn't have a digital coach. You didn't have AI in the workflow. Yeah, we made job aids and maybe coaching, right? All these kinds of things. But friends, the reality is we couldn't rely on those things. They weren't designed in a systematic way. They were very happenstance and incredibly unorganized, out of date, inefficient, right? So once we have this remarkable world we're designing for in the workflow with digital coaches and AI, we can train on things very differently. And it really boils down to only the things that are most critical that we wouldn't dare let AI teach. There are definitely things we're not going to or want to let AI teach or maybe even do on its own. Really, totally automated. If it's critical, people die, we get sued, you lose your job. I mean, critical tasks and high risk areas, right? The things that truly need to be understood, internalized, even learned. There is a memorized, tested, assessed before someone goes back into the workflow. But that is not everything. The critical stuff, which is not everything. And it's just as important to still train, but we'll do it very, very different. You teach people, on how to find what they need in class, not fire hose them with everything. It is a teach to fish model, as well as the critical things that lets you do fishing in any sense or form. But it really is about the instruction of AI, the instruction of the digital coach, the how to make decisions in the workflow, keep up with the workflow, remain current in the workflow. So, just because it in a productivity first world, friends, knowing is less important, frankly, than knowing how to access stuff. How's that? The classic, I don't know if this is a really nice Einstein quote. It's get thrown around. I've tried to find it. Honestly, it's been challenged. But anyway, it's I don't memorize my phone number because I can look it up. Why clutter and clog cognitive memory as limited as it is, frankly, for many and others, when I can look it up? Let's let folks focus on the critical tasks. So it's kind of bringing it all together, friends. AI, right? Enable methodology, workflow visibility, BMEs, SMEs, all these building blocks are coming together in a really different way. And this is how you can build a true digital coach. But you need all of those parts. AI needs all of those parts. The business needs to see all of those parts in a way it didn't before because of the nature of how things are changing and the dynamic of balancing the human AI interface. So the digital coach is something that lives in the workflow, right? It understands the work. It supports people in real time. It's in the apply, solve, and change. It evolves as the work evolves. It needs structure. AI is the huge enabler, but it doesn't design it. We do. we help it design it. It struggles with context, true workflow context, not content, friends. If we ride in a content pivot, we might be minimized, honestly, because I don't know how we touch content mining, aggregation, integration any better than AI can. So this is the moment we're in. It's a huge one, you guys. Training first kept us busy, and performance moved us a little more closer to the business, made us more relevant. Huge pivot. This productivity first thing, though, powered by AI and enabling through our design and methodology, that makes us, dare I say, indispensable. That's a strong word. right? But a long way away from training and being busy and seen as the training developer. So, if you're in L&D right now and you're feeling this AI pressure, friends, I honestly think it's uncertainty. It's a shift. We get it. But, doubling down on training, getting defensive, that's the wrong move right now. And it's not what the organization needs. It's not what they need out of us. They're leaning into this too. The work, the workflow, the reality of things getting done, the shifting floor, undercurrent, landscape of work and competition and competitors. It's an incredibly volatile time for the business. They need us to help bring calm, direction, effectiveness, efficiency to that. AI is in there, but it can also be a disruptor, not an enabler. That's why this is our future. That's why this is our time. This is why workflow learning, I've said it for a while now, AI is the pivot I've been waiting for in this discipline, you guys, because it's going to be what finally gets us there. This is when we finally become business partners. We've been asking for a seat at the table in the 40 years I've been at this. And I think why we don't get it is because we're not seen in the workflow. We're not seen as understanding it, enabling it, accelerating it, making sense of it, keeping it current, helping people be productive in it, truly productive in it, maybe knowledgeable about it, but productive in it. This design methodology, this technology, a real digital coach, by the way, we've been defining it for years, embedded in the workflow, orchestrating information, including training, with minimal support from other people. Gloria Geary here, friends, 1991. That time has arrived. Love to hear your feedback. Love to hear your reaction to this. But more importantly, let's get on board. Let's keep the dialogue going. This is our time, really. Thanks, friends. Appreciate you. Let us know what you think, and we will be keeping this up. Well, that's it for this episode of the 5 Moments of Need Performance Matters series. We look forward to future conversations around how to best put the 5 Moments of Need into practice. We welcome your feedback and can be reached on our 5 Moments of Need website, which is www.5momentsofneed.com. We hope you're finding these helpful and will subscribe to future episodes. Have a great day, friends.